Auburn beat A&M last night. This was a game that went late into the night. It's a game that saw A&M on the road. They lost at South Carolina on the road. They lose at Auburn on the road 43-41. A&M, man, they've gotten down in these games. They trailed LSU. They trailed in this one. They trailed in South Carolina. They were down 21-0. They came back, but they ended up losing the game. This was wildly entertaining. I gave this 4.5 Chali. I think most of you probably watched this game. 4.5 Chali on the 1 to 5 scale for me. Peyton Thorne goes off. Cam Coleman goes off. Jarquez Hunter goes off. It was always there. This is the thing, if you're an Auburn fan, that's got to drive you up a wall. If you're Hugh Freeze, I just imagine Hugh Freeze, you're happy you won, and they storm the field, and you're celebrating, and you're red-faced, and you're pouring sweat, but then at some point, these coaches get in their car and they drive home. And you've just got to sit there and stare at your steering wheel and say, wait a second, if we just did this tonight, that means we were capable of doing that technically all year. Why did it take so long? I don't know. But I will say this. It's very promising, okay? It leaves a really good taste in your mouth. You couldn't be any more sky high going into the Iron Bowl, and that's all well and good. You go back and you look at the losses, and you were minus turnovers in virtually every one of them. You end up being even in turnovers last night, and you got a really, really good win here. And you could get a great one this upcoming week, but you got to go into Tuscaloosa to do it. But Texas A&M's defense has let them down, man. A&M's defense is supposed to be something they can lean on. That's got to be looked at. Now, they've still got the SEC championship on their plate. They still control their destiny as to whether they get to Atlanta, because one of their losses is to Notre Dame. So they're a 3-loss team, but only 2 conference losses. But those defensive lapses, and then also just the early deficits, if you look in their losses, it's too much to overcome. You're asking your offense to do too much. And it's another classic example, man, of a situation where you've got to be so buttoned up on the road. In the SEC, you've got to be so buttoned up on the road because it is nasty. Like going into Auburn, you're facing a bad team. They put 90,000 in there anyway. And what always used to boggle my mind when I was younger and I would watch those games, I was like 5 or 6. I didn't fully understand the magnitude of college football yet. I would watch a team whose record was bad. Let's say it's Auburn. I would watch a team whose record was bad, and yet maybe not quite this was happening. They're storming the field there, but like a touchdown would happen or a 4th down stop on the goal line would happen. These people are going crazy, and the little version of me would say, but they can't even win the national championship. Why are they going crazy? Because it's Auburn, and they love it. I cannot believe I just said that. It's part of the Auburn creed, but it is, and they didn't even pay me to say that. Those words just organically came out of my mouth. It is a beautiful thing when you got a fan base that does not have to have the playoff tied to a game to invest maximum emotion into the game. I always appreciate it when I see it. I think we're storming fields a little bit too much in college football, but I don't have to pay the fine, whatever. A&M gets the money, and good for them. Good for them. You know, I know they fall short cash-wise out there a little every now and then, so that's good for them. But Mike Elko, it's year one, just like Kalen DeBoer. It's year one. So they're learning, and they're fighting because they've got a roster that's technically good enough to win these games. So you should be in the playoff mix, but you're also simultaneously trying to cast your vision. I was out there. We'll be out there this Saturday. I was out there a little while ago. I sat down with Elko for a while in his office, and I said, realistically, how much of your stuff can you get implemented in the first year? And it was just interesting to hear his answer. I won't share a lot of it, but it was interesting to hear his answer because it's tough, man. It's tough. That spring and summer, if you're a fan and you're dealing with that football, it feels like an eternity. But if you work in college football, that stuff goes by like that. There is no extended downtime. Like every day is allocated and accounted for. So good for Auburn. Now they've got an opportunity. I think they're at 5 wins right now. I think they need to beat Alabama to be bowl eligible. And, you know, some people value the bowl practices you get over going to a bowl. Hugh Freeze's team could be radically better next year. This year's not over, but they could be radically better next year. And I'm sure all the preview magazines will pick up on that, and there'll be a trendy pick by August. But good for them. Good for them. Badly needed. Good for them.